Alrighty. So started the recording here, and I would like to officially welcome everyone to the Fung Fellowship Transfer Student Info session for Fall 2025 cohort. And thank you all for joining us this evening. And also welcome to Cal to our transfer students. We are really excited to share a little bit about our program here in Berkeley and also excited for you all to directly hear from our student panelists about their experience as well as really learn more about some of the innovative projects that they worked on during their time in the fellowship. And to kick things off here, we will begin with some introductions very shortly. We also have a few slides prepared to share with you all today to give you a little peek into what the fellowship entails. If you have any questions at any point during the session, feel free to drop them in the Q&A chat. We'll also have some dedicated time at the end of this session for an open Q&A with our student panel. And also, thanks to everyone who've actually already submitted their questions through the interest form. If you haven't already done so, please take a moment to fill out the interest form. You can see the bit.ly link on the screen here. That's the bit.ly Fung Fellowship Transfer 25. Will be sending out multiple emails leading up to the application deadline with some next steps as well as just some reminders. Um, so with that, I am going to quickly go over this agenda we have for today. So first up, we'll be kicking things off with a quick round of introductions, and then we'll be diving right into our program information. We'll be sharing a little bit about our story, how the fellowship came to be, how it has evolved over the years since its inception in 2016. And we'll also share a little bit about some key focus areas and topics that we explore within the fellowship. We will also talk about our track offerings, where you'll get to take a closer look at the two tracks we currently offer, health and conservation sustainability. And right after, our student panel will be sharing a little bit about their projects they worked on during their time in the fellowship in collaboration with an industry or a community partner. And after that, we'll go over all the important details about the application process, including some next steps and the application deadline, as well as some tips for the application. And finally, we'll wrap up with an open Q&A session. Again, so if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or unmute and ask. I will share just a heads up here that when I'm sharing my screen as I'm doing right now, I will not be able to see the chat in real time, but I'll make sure to get to your questions once we reach the Q&A part of this session. All right, so with that, let's get started. So kicking us off with some introductions, I'm happy to start with my own introduction here. Again, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Priyanka Karki. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the program manager for the Fung Fellowship here at the Fung Institute. My academic background and training is in social sciences and law, and I'm currently also a part-time law student. And I really had the opportunity to start my career in the nonprofit world before coming to Cal. And it's been such a great experience here with the fellowship for the past almost 3 years now. And every year it is beyond inspiring and rewarding to get to work with students from across the campus and just really getting to witness their creativity and innovative solutions and to have this wonderful opportunity to support them and their initiatives alongside a wonderful teaching team. And with that, I will pass it on to Nseke to introduce himself.
Hello, my name is Nseke. I am the honors. I'm a GSI for the health track. Also, my background, I went to Berkeley as an undergrad, and as an undergrad, I did the Fung Fellowship here. I majored in basically product management and product design. After undergrad, I went to go work in industry, design company called IDEO. I worked there for like 2.5 years. And unfortunately, I was part of the tech layoffs that have been affecting a lot of us out here in these streets. So I was like, let me upskill myself and come back to Cal and become, I guess, a better UX designer, a better UX researcher, and acquire a little bit more leadership capacities, AI skills, and then a little bit of business skills too. And yeah, I'll be your honors. I mean, I'll be your health track GSI, and I'm looking forward to working with you all and learning from you all and helping you create awesome projects.
Thanks for sharing, Inseke. Such a full circle moment. We're so lucky to have you back in our team. And with that, I will pass it on to our amazing student panel, our alumni panel we have for today. If you all could please introduce yourselves, maybe share your name, pronouns, your track, your major, and a bit about your experience in the fellowship.
Yeah, I can go first. Hi, everyone. My name is Shantea Jeans. I recently just graduated from Cal in May, which feels like a few weeks ago, but I guess now it's like a few months ago, which is kind of crazy. And so I was in the conservation and innovation track. I majored in political science at Cal, and I was in the Fung Fellowship for the past year, which was really cool. And I was able to work on like two different projects. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here with you guys. I was also a transfer as well. So I transferred into Cal my junior year. So if you have any questions about like transferring to Cal or like this program as a transfer, I'm a really good resource for that. So yeah, I'll pass it over to Mai, I believe.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Mai. I go by she, her pronouns as well, and I'm currently studying molecular and cell biology. I'm a rising fourth year at UC Berkeley right now. I wasn't a transfer myself. I did come straight through, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you have that's within my capacity. And overall at Fung, I was there for a year and I had an amazing time. I got to collaborate with organizations I never would have otherwise been in contact with, got to know amazing people, and I just had a great time and I highly, highly recommend the experience. Some other organizations I'm involved in right now are the Model UN team here at Berkeley, the competitive travel team, and also Pre-Medical Honor Society. So I'm happy to answer any other questions you have about that as well if you are pre-med like me. I'll pass it now on to Megan.
Hi everyone, I'm really excited to be speaking to you all today. I'm Megan. I also use she, her pronouns, and I was part of the health and innovation track for the Fung Fellowship. I am a transfer student, and I literally remember being in your guys' shoes like 1 year ago, as a student, learning more about the program and listening in on the info session. So this is a really cool opportunity to be able to come back and to speak to you guys as a panelist. I'm studying poly-econ and data science, and I was able to work on two really cool projects, part of the Fung Fellowship. For other things, I'm also involved in like research on campus. So I did URAP and I also did data discovery. If you guys have like questions about research opportunities, um, I would be happy to like help or like chat or anything. So yeah, passing it on to Dylan.
Cool. Hi everyone, my name's Dylan. I'm also a transfer student coming from Irvine Valley College. So if anyone's on from that school, like shout out to you. But right now I'm studying business administration, and I'm going into my senior year. And I was a health and innovation fellow within the Fung Fellowship. So if you have any questions about that specific program, or if you have any questions about being in HOS or even being a transfer in HOS, like I'm a really great resource. Outside of that as well, I'm currently at an internship right now at a big tech company in the program slash like product vertical. So if you have any questions about that, shoot that my way as well.
Amazing. Thank you all for the lovely introductions and really special thanks to you all for joining us for the panel today. Moving us along here, I will start off with our story. Like many other programs on campus, in Berkeley, we have gone through many iterations and evolved and continue to evolve, really responding to changing program needs, shifting global dynamics, and of course, student feedback. You've probably already seen that on our website. We really do focus on co-creating student co-creating student experience for impact, which essentially means that we are continuously gathering feedback, engaging in active dialogue, and relying on your participation to improve our offerings, as well as just in grand scheme of things, really tailoring our resources to meet the unique needs of our students, especially since we work with such an interdisciplinary group of students. So it has been a very iterative process. But our story really began back in 2016 as the brainchild of Coleman Fung, as pictured here with Little Pearl, a Cal alum, an Army veteran, and an entrepreneur, and much, much more. He had a vision to create an undergraduate opportunity to foster design thinkers to solve industry problems while incorporating technology and interdisciplinary studies. So in 2016, partnering with the College of Engineering and the School of Public Health here at Berkeley, we really began as a pilot program. And so the first cohort we had was a 2-year program model and was first launched with only one track, Health plus Tech, now known as Health plus Innovation. Another notable change happened in 2020 when we launched a new track, Conservation plus Innovation, in partnership with the College of Natural Resources, Rosser College. And in 2023, we changed our track names from tech to innovation. So it used to be health plus tech, conservation plus tech. We've now changed that to innovation, really recognizing that the term innovation more holistically encompasses the fellowship's focus on technology, creativity, as well as customer needs and insights. And we wanted to ensure that the track names reflect the core takeaways of this fellowship experience. And just earlier this year, we changed our program model from a year-long to a semester-long format, essentially to provide a more structured, high touch, and focused experience in the program while still allowing for flexibility within this highly fast-paced environment at Cal. As you have probably already seen or noticed by now, we understand that there's always so many opportunities and so much to do at Cal. And so we really wanted to meet students where they're at and provide an experience that is both deeply engaging but also adaptable. And with that said, the fall cohort fellows, if you're applying for this upcoming fall of 25, you're more than always welcome to join us for any spring events and opportunities to enjoy that sustained experience and continue being a part of the fellowship community. And I'm sure alumni can attest to this later in the session. We consistently try to offer events and networking opportunities to ensure that the fellowship experience extends beyond your time here. And who knows, maybe you can come back as a GSI, like Nseke did. And more importantly here, the community building focus is becoming increasingly important and even more popular as our fellowship community continues to grow. And here with that introduction, I'll briefly talk about some core areas and topics. So regardless of which track you choose as a Fung Fellow, whether you choose the health track or the conservation sustainability track, these 3 key pillars are really embedded into the curriculum. So the fellowship is a 3-unit course, as you've probably already heard. And students will be engaging in 1 lecture and 1 lab weekly for the entire semester. And this experience is really grounded in leadership, innovation, and design. To briefly go over each, under leadership, students really explore topics like implicit bias, um, participate and create evaluation and surveys, as well as inclusive teaming, since the fellowship is open to all majors. So it's a very interdisciplinary group, and essentially helping our fellows grow as empathetic and effective collaborators and leaders. Innovation can also include a number of things, really focusing on hands-on exposure to technology, engaging in activities that are focused on ideation, prototyping, as well as building and understanding and knowledge of digital tools, really giving fellows a toolkit for creative problem solving. And lastly, design. Under this pillar in this core area, fellows engage with methods like design thinking, storytelling, journey mapping, persona creation, really focusing on that human-centered design. And these themes may shift slightly each semester depending on the cohort, your areas of impact, even depending on the project partners. But they really, just the core focus remain at the core of what makes the fellowship such a dynamic and interdisciplinary experience. And with that, I will turn it over to Nseke for the next couple of slides.
Okay, awesome. Hmm, as you're going through the journey of the Fung Fellowship, we're going to take you through like the 5 steps of design thinking, which is here: learn, define, ideate, build, test, and share. I mean, all that kind of like means, and what we're trying to impart holistically onto you, is that like at Cal, you're going to take a lot of classes that's very theoretical based, and you're just learning from reading books all the time. We really want to push you to actually go and create something, come up with find a problem that you have, which you will use your how might we question to kind of like understand that problem. When you're partner like with a partner, community partner or organization that we're going to partner you with, we want you kind of like to solve a problem that they have. And we want to really push you all to like not just come up with an awesome PowerPoint, come up with an awesome Figma slide. We want to push you to the point like that you actually create something, brainstorm, show it to your clients, show it to whomever. So within the Fung Fellowship, that's what we're really about. A lot of your projects that you're going to work on, you're going to be on 3 to 6 people on the team, depending on like how many of you all sign up for a project. And typically, now that we're going into a different phase of the Funk Fellowship, you might most likely just work on one project throughout the entire semester. The first 2, 3 weeks of the semester is going to be about like learning what design thinking is. Some of you all already have exposure to design thinking. We're going to kind of give you the flavor that we would like you to kind of like practice within the Funk Fellowship in a condensed timeline. And then we're going to send you off to the races. It's going to be like a semester long project. Next slide, please. So overall, we're trying to hit a lot of things within this semester, like community engagement, collaboration, design, technology. For all intents and purposes, my last 2 minutes, I'm gonna focus on like the technology, ideation, and building. I can't stress it enough that we actually want you to create something. Every group that you're gonna be, every group is gonna have a problem that they're trying to solve, and we actually want you to engage with the people you're trying to solve that problem for. If you're trying to improve medicine intake for people, we don't want you to do a slide. We want you to actually go talk to them, figure out what's their problem, figure out if it's like an AI solution that's needed. Is it like an in-person solution that's needed? We actually really want to push you all to get out your comfort zones and create something that actually have impact. And it was going to be great. You'll hear for some of our past students how they created impact. Leadership and technology, particularly technology, I think it's going to be an interesting one this go around. When I first started at the Funk Fellowship, design thinking was relatively new, and we were super duper pushing just design thinking and all the steps. Now I think design thinking has proliferated and been around for a long time. A lot of people are familiar with it, and we're going into the age of like AI. So we encourage you all to use AI to actually create stuff, but with that comes also a greater expectation for you to create something and put it in front of people to use. So We can't, if I haven't stressed it enough, like, we want you to build something, we want you to create something, and we want you to actually solve a problem and give it to people and see if it works. If it doesn't work, it's still success because you're learning something. But we don't just want you to not do nothing and just say, I create this awesome slide and that's it. Because we have seen that throughout the year. So um, last I will leave on we're gonna have fun. We're gonna learn looking forward to like learn from you all and what technology skills that you're bringing in and what life experiences that you're bringing in and leveraging both of those type of things to see what is the best solution to a problem. So with that, I'm gonna throw it back to you, Priyanka.
Thank you for such great insights and overview, and Nseke. And really building off of that, we have some learning objectives up next. But before we dive into this, I want to highlight something that you might hear us say a lot within the fellowship is that this program and the fellowship is what you make out of it. With such a diverse range of offerings, as well as students, because they come from across the campus, we realize that everyone has unique learning goals and interests, and we recognize that each of our journeys can be shaped by individual interests and aspirations. However, there are some universal threads that bind us together and help us translate our shared goals into actions within the fellowship and beyond. So, no matter what background you may have coming into the fellowship or which track you end up participating in, our goal is for every fellow to leave with these foundational skills to help you become an innovative leader, work in interdisciplinary teams, and really have you leverage and refine your skills to be a community collaborator. So, these are some of our main learning objectives. Um, and I'm not going to read through them, but I'll just pause here so you can just take a look at this. And you can see some of the keywords highlighted here, some that Nseke also mentioned. Alrighty. And with that, you can also see here some of our track offerings. Again, regardless of the track you end up participating in, the fundamental areas and topics I covered earlier, leadership, innovation, and design, are covered under both of these tracks. And there are some overlapping opportunities provided throughout the semester, mostly on the program side, but as a whole, they are focused on two distinct areas. So for the health track, we look at public health and well-being very broadly. Some topics we've covered in the past are social isolation, nutrition, housing, mental health, and much more. And as we all know, these types of topics and challenges are very complex and requires in-depth assessment of policies, social, economic, as well as environmental factors. So the exploration and the assessment is really, those pieces are also really integrated into the curriculum. And for the conservation track, we've looked at biodiversity conservation, sustainability, as well as environmental health, some specific topics. We've explored our primary threats from land and sea use, direct exploitation of species, climate change and pollution, corporate sustainability, as well as invasive non-native species. And again, same for the conservation track, really looking at different factors that's affecting these challenges and these real world issues. So we're at the midpoint of the presentation here. We're good on time, so I'll move us along. Let's take a closer look at who makes up our fellowship community. We are incredibly proud of the diverse and dynamic community that makes up this program. Our fellows come from a wide range of backgrounds, experiences, and academic disciplines. The data you see here represents all fellows to date, really giving us a broad picture of the community we've built over time. And to date, excluding the incoming cohort, 603 fellows have joined the fellowship community, out of which 53% identify as BIPOC, 26% are first-gen transfer students, 25% sorry, I think I messed up my numbers here. 26% are first generation college students, 25% are transfer students, 18% coming from the LGBTQI plus community, 12% identify as DSP, and 4% veterans, all reflecting the breadth of lived experiences within our community. And the word cloud that you see here represents the diverse majors and academic disciplines of our fellowship community. And every semester, we represent over 20 to 25 unique majors on campus. So again, as you can imagine, a very interdisciplinary group. And a few more pictures here showing you what the fellowship may look like inside the classroom. Some of these pictures were taken during our usual lectures and lab sessions, as well as different events that we hold throughout the semester and throughout the year, including final semester events, networking events, industry site visits, field trips. Our boot camp, which is held at the beginning of the semester. We also have guest speakers come in each semester to share more insights on different professional experiences, best practices, and careers in your respective tracks. And there are also some cross-cohort community building opportunities we offer throughout the semester. And with that, we have the most awaited segment of this session, our student projects. So without further ado, I will now turn the spotlight over to our student panel to share a bit about their projects and what solutions they came up with for the design challenges. And I believe this is Shantaya's project.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Priyanka. So yeah, like I mentioned, I was a transfer. I did the Fung Fellowship in my senior year. So I was in the conservation and innovation track, and I think the tracks differ based on like the projects that we do, as you'll see. So in the first semester, my group was partnered with Reclaim Our Power, which is it's like a utility campaign, like social organizing type of company. I believe they're a nonprofit. And with that, we were basically mapping PG&E, which is a public utility, versus a private utility, and just kind of seeing like, their terms of service, how outreach they are within California, and then trying to compare like especially just like rates in terms of like payment and how it affects, rural communities or low income communities. And so that they could use that data for a lot of their like campaigning and a lot of the work that they do. That was a really cool project. I would say when I first heard about it, I was like, whoa, like what does that mean for me? And I would say that like all of your professors, your GSI, and there's so many mentors within the program that really walk you through step by step on like what you need to do. So I would say like I know the fellowship is kind of like switching gears into a semester long program, but I would say that it still rings true that you have so many resources available to you in the fellowship. So I would say like especially as someone, I'm coming from a political science major, I'm not like data-based or anything like that. So I really came into it thinking like I really love design. I've always really loved design. I've always loved like messing around on like Figma and like Adobe. And so I kind of saw the fellowship as an opportunity to really work on and hone those skills that I haven't really gotten a chance to really work on in my major, just because those opportunities aren't available for me. So that's kind of where I came into it as. And so I learned how to map and like do ArcGIS, which was really cool. There was a little bit of coding involved, which my professor really like walked me through. All of these people are here to like really help you. And I think that's one of the things that I really appreciated about the fellowship so much was that everyone was like really on your team. So like all of this is like real world experience, right? And it's not like they're just like dropping you into this project, like, oh, here's your project and like go do whatever you need to do and like Google it or like use ChatGPT or something. It was like they used like real class time and we had labs that were one-on-one with our GSI. And then you also have a group of other people around you. And it's from all different majors. So there's people who are like computer science or who are like, I think someone in my group was like pre-med. So it's like you all are like completely working with like different backgrounds. So you guys all bring something new to the table, which is really cool. So you all kind of like get to collaborate on this one project together. And you also get to like see a lot of like different sides and a lot of different fields, which I thought was really awesome because it's very like similar to the real world. Like now that I'm going into the workforce after graduating, I'm realizing like, oh, when you work at a company, you're not working with people who all have the same degree or all have the same background or all have the same experience. You're working with people from all over the world that have completely different degrees from you, who studied something completely different from you. So I think like now that I look back on my fellowship experience, I'm like, wow, that was actually really eye-opening to how I am now because it's like maybe my skills aren't the best in like statistics or math, but I can reach out to someone to do that for me and to help collaborate on that with me. So it's like really similar, I would say, to like working in like an actual real world like group project. Um, so yeah, let me not say too much, but like that was my first semester. Worked with Reclaim Our Power. The second semester was a little bit different. We were partnered with PMDP Hawaii. They're a nonprofit in Hawaii that's based in Hawaii, and they do like long haul beach cleanups. And they kind of were like struggling with the fact that they had to use so much manpower to go out into the ocean, right? And like physically collect so many things. And one thing that we were kind of like consultants in that way, where we were kind of like trying to get down to the problem of like, okay, so what are you collecting and what's taking up so much space? And like let's do like real world interviews on like let's talk to someone who like operates the boat. Let's talk to someone who like actually sorts through the trash. It wasn't just like talking to like the CEO himself and like that was where we got all of our information from. And that was also really cool because the fellowship, teaches you how to do those interviews, how to like work with human-centered design. And so we ended up targeting buoys actually. So if you've ever seen a buoy, it's like a round like red ball that floats in the ocean or like sometimes you'll see them in pools like as like lane lines and stuff. So buoys actually are hollow on the inside, but they take up so much space on their boats for this nonprofits especially. So we had to like actually test out buoys and see what would be the best way to like minimize the space or the capacity that they take up. So if you can see here on our prototyping slide, it kind of looks a little crazy. You're kind of like, wait, what's going on here? Like, why are there spikes? Why are there like knives? Like, what's going on? So we actually were able to like 3D print through the fellowship. You get access to like this whole like hall at UC Berkeley where you can like laser print or I mean, sorry, laser cut, 3D print. You can like make things like it's really cool. And we were able to like 3D print a buoy and then we went in and like tried to like cut it. We tried to like take heat to it. We tried to laser cut it. We tried to do so many things to try to figure out a solution for this nonprofit. And we ended up coming up with a hot knife solution. And so we made a prototype of that and sent it over to the nonprofit. And so now they're working on implementing like hot knives into their actual like operation when it comes to, you know, I guess like so sorry. I'm like when it comes to like de decompressing the buoy. Sorry. There we go. Decompressing. When it comes to like actually demolishing all of their waste, they're trying to do it in a way that's like safe for the environment, safe for all of these other things. So those were things that we were like all thinking about as we were coming up with the solution. But yeah, that was the two projects that I worked on with my team. If you guys have any questions at the end, I'll be here. So yeah, and I'll hand it all over to the next person.
Thanks so much, Shante. Yeah, that is so wonderful. And thank you so much for highlighting that connection between the real world experience and the fellowship experience. I think it's such an important insight because it really, I think, spoke to how we have also designed this program to give our students that real world experience of working with partner nonprofits and industry partners who have deadlines and are folks from all different, not just majors, but like you pointed out, different parts of the world. So how do you balance all of those competing priorities? So really appreciate that insight here. Next up, Pearl Pod.
Um, Hi, yes. So this was my final project for the Fung Fellowship, and like Nseke kind of mentioned earlier, oftentimes you get paired up with like an industry partner to solve a specific problem within maybe their industry or something that they're working on. So for our project partner this past semester was someone that was very well connected within the elderly care space. So he had connections with like a lot of elderly care facilities. And one thing that we noticed, a problem that we noticed was that there was kind of an information gap between like medical facilities and then these like elder care facilities. So if you kind of just think about it, like when your grandparents or sometimes extended family members go to the doctor, sometimes it's really hard for them to capture like all of the information that maybe they're getting from the doctor within that visit. So that also is a problem when information is passed from facility to facility. So when patients are moved from like an actual hospital setting to maybe like an extended care facility, the information is not always passed like very sufficiently between these like facilities. So our product or our solution is PearlPod, which is something that we were prototyping and ideating. It's essentially a device that can capture a medical visit or summarize a medical visit and then store all of that information into a cloud sort of platform and just be able to make it easier for medical professionals and also for family members to access like medical information. So it was a really cool opportunity to work on like a cross-functional team. Personally, I'd never done anything with like 3D printing or like physical prototyping. And one of my team members, she was very like well versed in that avenue. So it was really cool to kind of learn from her and to see like, oh, like this is something that I've never done before. Like, how can I learn from like one of my teammates? And also like what do I know that I can like maybe teach like some of my teammates? So that was a really cool opportunity. It was really cool to like get a chance to solve like this problem. And also actually we had a follow-up meeting for this project just like a month ago. So even though everyone's like in summer, we met with David, who was our instructor, and we also met with our project partner because um, yeah, your projects don't have to be contained by like the time frame within the fellowship. So there's also opportunity to continue. I know like our project partner is very invested. He's personally been trying to get us to like continue, and we're also making like arrangements and plans to do so, because sometimes like these large scale projects won't fit like very neatly into the timeline of a program. So that's another aspect to consider. But overall, it was a great opportunity and definitely might be an ongoing process. So that's all from me.
Thanks, Megan, and thank you for highlighting all of those important and insightful experiences. I think especially you brought up peer learning, and I feel like that's such a big part of the program. And even us, as I think and Seike pointed out, as GSIs, as staff, there's always so much we learn from our fellows every year. So
Mhm.
it's always an ongoing process for sure. Awesome. All right, up next we have Bridge to Care.
Yes, I can talk about this a little bit and then hand it over to Dylan as well because we were lucky enough to be on the same project team and that was a super fun semester. So this past semester I worked on the UCSF project and it was called Bridge to Care. And I was lucky enough to be partnered with the UCSF emergency department with a doctor. So we were able to work directly with the physician and figure out the needs for OUD, which is opioid use disorder patients who were visiting the emergency department after hours, but not getting their follow-up care that they needed because of all the chaos that happens after hours and them not being able to get access to resources and not having the incentive to follow up and a lot of variables like that. So we were able to address that this semester. I do want to add, though, that my semester before was very different. So, this project you'll see is a lot more physical and less technical. And we did kind of have an issue with that when we were approaching this issue because we felt like a technical solution would either be redundant or not be feasible, considering the environment and considering the target consumer that we have. So, I also want to say, it doesn't always have to be in a certain area. We really did think coming into this that we'd have to code something or 3D print something. And if you are able to do that and that serves your project, I think that's great. But it just wasn't what our patients needed and what our kind of partner needed as well. So this project was very different from my first semester where we prototyped an app and for that one we were very technical and even in that situation, no one in my team in my first semester with Fung was a computer science or data science major at all. So no one really understood how to code. We just were able to make a prototype and able to make a niche that we were very passionate about. So it was mental health, but we also focused on survivors of gender-based violence and things like that. So we were really able to tailor it to whatever we were specifically passionate about. So I guess my main thing about this whole point is that Fung really doesn't put you in any kind of box. It's what Priyanka said before. It's really what you do with it. And I think it's what you make out of it is what you put into it. So if you want to do something that you're already passionate about, you can definitely come into Fung and find that. Or even if they put you into something, you can make it whatever you want to serve both your partner and your own passions and your own interests. I think the biggest thing I learned from Fung was definitely the community we had as well. Having Inseki, Priyanka, and David, they taught us a lot and they were always there for us. If you shoot them a message on Slack, they would respond within 24 hours guaranteed, which was amazing considering all the logistical obstacles that you wouldn't really face in any campus bubble environment ever. So regardless of all the clubs and academic activities I did in high school or college, there was nothing that really compared to the logistical battles that you would face in real life when you work with real partners outside of a university setting, in a hospital setting, and you have to contact patients who are in a vulnerable population. That really taught us a lot about outreach and also making sure to be able to adapt. There were meetings we had to get moved because we couldn't finish some aspects in time or perfect it enough. And we really had to just figure out how to go with the flow and while also making sure we served a vulnerable population's needs. So I think that taught us the most because it wasn't necessarily the technical aspect of it, but it was definitely what Fung focuses on a lot, which is being very patient centered and feedback focused. So that was something we definitely learned a lot as well through this project and also my projects last semester. And our solution, we wanted to make sure it was very easy to keep and difficult to lose. So we focused on centering the product around that idea. And I'll hand it over to Dylan to expand on that as well.
Thank you so much, Mai.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Mai. Yeah, like Mai said, I was also part of her team for last semester. And basically, like, it was really cool because we got to make like a hardware product and got to see like actual patients use that product within our testing phase and getting like a lot of good feedback and also like feedback that we can use for like growth opportunities was really like insightful that we can just use and go back into that and go into that iterative process that you'll learn within the Fung Fellowship. But More so, I'm gonna focus more on my fall semester project. It's called Task Breaker, and our client project partner was the California Department of Healthcare Services. And essentially, what the problem statement was how can we help the pain point of mental health within college students specifically? So we came up with an idea to make a hybrid digital and hardware product. Um, that addresses ADHD, and the main like value proposition out of this was focusing more on focus. But I can go more in depth into like the project, but I would really want to say like Fung Fellowship, the main things that I got out of it were these three key learnings. The first is learning how to work in a cross-functional like team setting. I was like the only like non-technical person in my fall semester, while everyone else were engineers, like both like computer science and also like industrial engineering. So like learning how to, position myself and make a contribution was definitely a learning curve. Second is definitely like learning those technical skills that are needed within the real world. So I learned like how to do like customer journey maps through like Figma or like other like AI tools that I actually like use right now in my internship, and is really valuable. Just learning that to like, actually be ahead in my internship right now. And I would say the third is definitely like what my said is just a plus one of keeping that communication and also like learning how to iterate and being okay and acting fast whenever there's like a tight like deadline. You always just want to make like a quick like MVP and then just quickly test it with your focus user group and then iterate based on their insights for your like final project. And then I'll pass it on back to Priyanka to finish us off in this presentation.
Amazing. Thank you, Dylan, and thank you, everyone. This was so insightful and really appreciate, you know, talking just beyond the projects, your process and the collaboration. And it's always such a humbling and a gratifying experience to see how focused and how creative you all can be in this process. So we're so proud to just be a part of this. And with that, I think in the interest of time, we will skip. These were some other sample projects I had from, I believe, previous years, but I do want to check. Do we have anyone in the panel who did this project before I skip the slide? No, it sounds like no. Okay. And we will be sharing the recording and the slides, so you'll have an opportunity to check these out later. But again, yeah, just in the interest of time, moving us along here. So before we move on to the last segment of our info session today, I want to quickly share some information regarding the application. The Fung Fellowship application for transfer students for fall 2025 is currently open and is due on August 3rd, 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. It may take you anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour to work on the application, and it's really an opportunity for us to learn more about you, your interests, your passion, and what really brings you to the space. There is no GPA requirement, no prior tech experience requirement. And it's open to junior transfers class of 2027 and senior transfers class of 2026. Um, in the process, if you have any questions about the application or you'd like to get connected to one of the panel members, again, we're more than happy to do so. Just feel free to reach out to us. I will be dropping some emails and a link to our website after I stop screen sharing here in just a minute. And so with that, we now have our panel Q&A for the last 8 to 10 minutes or so. I'm going to stop recording here so that everyone can feel comfortable asking and answering questions. Again, feel free to use the chat function or unmute, and we'll start off with some questions that we've already received via the RSVP form. So just want to make sure that I'm stop sharing as well as